The NBA offseason has left Golden State Warriors fans plenty of time to digest the Chris Paul trade that occurred at the conclusion of the season. And while at first glance the trade may have appeared to offer some benefits in the way of playoff experience, backcourt depth, and veteran leadership, if we dig a little further, we see that this trade may go down as one of the biggest blunders in Warriors history. How's it going, guys? This is Troy with the Half Court Report YouTube channel. Real quick before we get into it, be sure you like this video and subscribe if you're new for some of the best basketball content that you're going to find on YouTube. So let's take a second to unpack all the pieces that made up the Chris Paul trade. The Warriors sent Jordan Poole, Patrick Baldwin Jr., Ryan Rollins, and a handful of picks to the Washington Wizards for Chris Paul and a late second-round pick that ended up being Trayce Jackson-Davis. Some would argue that was a measly return for Jordan Poole, who, though he has his faults, was a key part of a championship run barely a year ago. Add to that, you've got two up-and-coming players fresh off their rookie seasons. What's worse, though, is that since the trade, the Warriors have completely failed to plug the holes in their rotation during free agency. This trade did nothing to improve the problems with the team's roster. After a season where the Dubs were one of the smallest teams in the NBA, they went out and signed point guard Corey Joseph, because I guess you needed another one for some reason, and Dario Saric, who's a third-string big man if we're being generous. And I can't believe this. Saric is now the tallest player on the Warriors roster at 6'10". And if Saric is playing major minutes, then you've got a problem. The Warriors' lack of size caused significant issues when they faced the Lakers in the second round of the postseason. So while other teams were getting bigger and faster this offseason, the Warriors were just treading water. Another problem they faced all season was defense, particularly off the bench. Gary Payton II can only do so much, right? At this point in his career, Chris Paul is only marginally better than Jordan Poole on that end of the floor. So that problem is still very much unaddressed. The only benefit brought by the presence of Paul is that he can maybe help some of the younger players break out and realize their potential. Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody growing into legitimate rotation pieces will be a key to the Warriors staying relevant in a quickly approaching post-Steph Curry era. And who knows, none of that may even happen, and it goes the other direction with Chris Paul holding the Warriors back. As last season progressed, it became crystal clear that the Warriors are an old team. They were nearly run out of the gym in the first round against the Sacramento Kings, and it's been a struggle to keep the original trio of Steph, Klay, and Draymond on the floor over the last few seasons. And yeah, I know everyone is healthy now, but all three are a year older and a step slower. So adding a 38-year-old in Chris Paul, who has struggled to stay healthy the last few years, could just compound those issues. And say whatever you want about Jordan Poole. I mean, hey, I've had plenty to say about him on this channel, but Jordan Poole was the only scoring threat off the bench last year for Golden State. In games without Steph, Poole helped keep the team afloat and led the Warriors to a 14-12 record. That was the only season in Steph's career where the team had a winning record without him. And in those games, Poole averaged 26 points and 5 assists per game. Paul can't replace that offensive production, even if he is the better playmaker and not as shot happy as Poole is. But Paul likely can't play as many games as Poole, who appeared in all 82, compared to Chris Paul playing in less than 60. And that leads into the question about chemistry this team will have. It's a huge concern. One of the biggest stories for the Warriors last year was the preseason drama between Draymond and Jordan Poole. We all remember the punch seen around the world. This event led to a divide in the locker room between the veteran players, coaching staff, and the young guys. It lasted all year. It was the elephant in the locker room, and I think ultimately that's what led to Poole's exit from the team. The problem, though, is that the Warriors may not have solved that issue. This has been a theme with Draymond for a while now, dating back to Kevin Durant in the 2018-2019 season. Green and Durant's confrontation then led to KD's departure. Draymond even said himself that just because he and Chris Paul are teammates now, it doesn't mean they have to like each other. This could escalate into a real problem for the Warriors. Probably not punch you in the face level, but that lack of trust and camaraderie can torpedo a season during the 82-game grind. This is clearly a recurring issue that the organization has yet to properly address. But the chemistry issues do not end there. Shortly after the trade, when a reporter asked Chris Paul about his role coming off the bench, he responded by saying that he and Steve Kerr had not yet held a conversation regarding whether he would start or not. So let me get this straight. Not even held a conversation? Then what have Chris Paul and Steve Kerr talked about? State Farm insurance rates? The problem comes with the fact that the Warriors already have one of the greatest point guards in NBA history on the roster. How will they start Paul in any lineup without messing up what Steph Curry already does for the team? Plus, Paul starting would mean moving Klay Thompson to the bench. Does anyone actually see that happening? There is not a single player on the Warriors starting five that is for sure less effective than Paul was last season. They were also one of the best lineups in the league last year. Why would Steve Kerr disrupt that group? Former Warrior DeMarcus Cousins, we all remember him, he even chimed in during a recent interview and said he didn't see how Chris Paul's game would fit in with this Warrior squad. He wondered how much of a difference CP3 would even make. Let's just stop the video for a second. I'm actually agreeing with Boogie about something. But seriously, everything I've talked about so far only considers the swap of Chris Paul and Jordan Poole. I'm not even taking into account the potential of Patrick Baldwin Jr. or Ryan Rollins. PBJ was not too long ago seen as a top pick in the draft before injuries held him back his senior year of high school and his first year of college. Add to that, both prospects showed flashes for the Wizards in Summer League. This trade could be a massive blunder. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a ridiculously good-looking guy with a popular YouTube channel. I need you to tell me what you think. Comment below. Also, be sure to drop a like to show your support, and if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? You know, it's not too late for the Warriors to sign some guys that could potentially make a difference on this team. One guy I'm tracking is 7'3" Filipino phenom Kai Soto. I've been following his career for a while, and he just finished playing in NBA Summer League, and NBA scouts are really starting to take notice. I made a whole video on him and what he would look like on the Warriors. Click the box on the screen to check it out, and have a great day.